It is showtime. Welcome back, guys. Rate My Team is on here. Apologies for the delay today. I had the misso's birthday, went out for the day, got an early dinner, and now we're here. Bit of Sydney traffic, though. Not ideal. Hopefully, you guys are all going well, though. Let's just wait for them to pop in. Just drop a message if you are here. We got Jonty here. Hey, Longy, my team is until the 30th. Can you please do it? Much appreciated. Sure, mate. I'll make sure I get that one done. And then Flynn, Longy the Goat, probably going to spam your chat with questions, so I'm very lost this week. Look, it's a big week. It's a big week, and it's probably worth me just quickly touching on what I'm going to do with my side here. So if I just jump across to my team, let's zoom out a bit and give the better graphical view here. Here we go. So for my side, I'm thinking about making a couple of upgrades here. So Tino or Gus Crichton potentially coming in, as well as potentially Jacob Kiraz here. Now, I probably prefer Bo Firma over Jacob Kiraz, but Kiraz allows me to get big Tino instead of someone at about 585k. So it's looking like Dylan Lucas out, Savala out, big Tino and Jacob Kiraz in. And one crazed dog running around the house as well. So Loophole this week, I'm going to run Fiketti as one loop, and then Tommy Turbo versus Latu Fainu potentially is the other loophole there. I might swing Taylan De Silva into that conversation too. So that's where I'm at. I just think you need to have a look at your team, try and strengthen your 17 as much as possible, but don't burn through heaps of trades unless you really have to this week. That's kind of how I'm viewing it. So let's just see. I'll just quickly touch on the chat before we jump in. And man, what do you reckon? What do you reckon? Is it time to bin all these Panthers players? Yeah, damn right. We got Let's Go. Good to see you, Butters. Payne Haas in the house. Mate, round 21, I'm expecting big things from you, Payne Haas. AFAX, good to see you, mate. Alex here, head-to-head against me. Wow, okay. Juicy, man. Well, I'm going to get up. My team's looking pretty good this week. Huddy Young, best pod, ABM. You've always been on Hudson Young. Tell everyone to remove Hudson from their team, please. Yeah, look, Hudson Young, he's very expensive, so he's going to stay a pod. No matter what happens, he will stay a pod for sure. He's terrible. Yes, Sack Ivan Cleary is absolutely screwing us. The dog. Hey, Lockie, how's it going, man? Number one Titans hater. And howdy. Good to see you, Kanga. All right, let's rip into this, guys. So for this week, got a bunch of teams to get through. I also saw a bunch of you guys did win some of the major prizes on the Origin game. So a couple of you guys won 2 jerseys. Andrew, I believe it was, who won 2 jerseys on SmartBee. So, mate, congrats to you, mate. 2 out of 3 games, you finished top 5. A lot of you guys won jerseys, though, which is pretty sweet. So I unfortunately didn't win one. And the sad thing for me is I actually qualified to win one based on one of my scores one week. But unfortunately, because I'm, a creator, I can't win them. So they're there for you guys to win. All right, so Tezzarexy is up first here, 6 p.m. Let's rip into this, guys. So thoughts on getting both Tino and Gus this week? Plan to get both Cleary and Yo this week. Rather wait a week. Yeah, 100%. You're aggressive. Grab some points. Yeah, okay. So other options are Watson and Latrell. Look, Tino, Gus, Watson, Latrell. They're all really good options here. They're all options I like quite a bit. So these trades leave you enough cash to go Garrick to Cleary next week. Yeah, I mean, you want to do that. Garrick to Cleary is definitely a goer for next week. Let's see these trades. So Cook out, Lucas out, King Tonga out. They're all good sells. You bring in Crichton, Tino, De Silva. You bank some cash there. I think that's a great 3 trades there. In terms of how it helps your team out, back 5 looks good. Halves are strong. Back row is good. Forward pack is good. Fiketti, limited shelf life. Just keep that in mind for Fiketti. But for now, it's good. Big Tino, Gus Crichton, Tommy Turbo, Garrick in the loophole there with guys like De Silva. Yeah, I'm a fan of this, man. I think this is a good play. You could potentially move Garrick this week, but you've got the plan for Cleary next week. So I think that's the better option there. So yeah, man, run that triple trade. If you did want to pivot to someone different, so if you wanted to swap away from, I don't know, if you wanted to go to Connor Watson instead of Tino or something like that, it's Connor Watson instead of Crichton. Much of a muchness there. You've got Clark at the hooker spot, and you don't really have much hooker depth. I guess De Silva's your next guy. So Connor Watson wouldn't be the worst for you, but they're all viable options there. Tino's got a pretty high break even, but should be good this week. So I think the way you've got it set out is right. If you do want to get Watson, I'm good with that as well. Butters, I saw you in the chat, mate. So good to see you here. Hey, Legend, hope you're well. Not too happy with that Ivan Cleary bloke, mate. Neither am I. These Panthers players just keep on disappointing us too. State of origin, there's a bunch of them in that. Then they beat my Eels last week, even though they come off the bench. And now they're resting. So, mate, the disappointment just continues here. So I think I'm set for 3 sells this week. Let's have a look at these trades here because you've got, Bo Firma. Bo Firma's a great option. He's a great option there. And Karapani's definitely a sell. So I'm good with those swaps. Lucas, Savala, Garrick for Crichton, Mitchell, Campbell. Okay. Good options there. Let's just make sure so you got Kraz moving to center. So you're not beholden to Bo Firma. I would say Latrell Mitchell and Jaden Campbell are better scorers than Bo Firma. More volatile, right? A bit more injury risk. They miss more games, but stronger scorers overall. So, I mean, Campbell especially is a bit of a no-brainer price, and Latrell has that meteoric upside. So I'm good with these trades. You could go Bo Firma instead. Gives you a bit of flexibility with Scott Drinkwater there. I don't think you necessarily need to. In terms of your bench here, because it is full 17 this week. So you've got Preston, Karapani, right? Yeah, so Karapani is one we want to move on at some point. And then, I might actually suggest moving on Karapani this week because then you got Yo, Cleary, Drinky, De Silva, Turbo. You got a pretty bare bench. So with 225K, personally, what I would be doing is I'd be moving Karapani on this week to someone like Big Tino. I think Karapani to Big Tino. If you want to go cheaper, Karapani to, Lachlan Galvin. You could make a move to someone different there. That's what I'd be doing there. I just think Karapani, it's time to go. He's got the bye this week anyway, and you're not using him really to loophole. You've only got a limited number of players. So I'm almost thinking add that 4th trade. In fact, that's what I'm going to say. Yeah, add that 4th trade, sell Karapani, buy Big Tino or something like that, and you'll end up with a very deep roster because then you're going to have your starting side, which is rock solid. You'll have Preston, Big Tino, Isaiah Yo, Nathan Cleary, Scott Drinkwater, Tommy Turbo. So you've got a bunch of depth there, and you can sort of ride into the end with not heaps of trades, but 4 trades left. You kind of got to be safe next week. The other option is, to go Haas. I guess you can go to Haas next week. I think for you sort of need the points this week, though. That's my one concern because I don't think it's not good enough to have all these guys in your 17 this week. So personally, I'd go Tino this week and just hold off from Haas unless, something opens up. So that would be my advice. But if you want to save for next week, you're going to copy hit this week and you could get Haas next week as well. Personally, I'd be grabbing the points this week. Damian Long, not concerned with head-to-head this week. Just looking to get myself set up for the finals. Man, that's a great spot to be in. So you don't have to go too hard this week. Then 12 trades remaining, leaning towards just 2 trades this week. I want to use Savala and Tarpanay, maybe to get Haas and possibly Hudson next week. Hoping both drop cash. I'm bringing Eli Katoa. Yeah, okay. Let's see. What are we looking at here? So we got Dylan Lucas and Jazz Tavanga going out. Fletcher Hunt and Latrell Mitchell coming in. Look, that makes sense. Going to have a lot of cash in the bank after that. And then how the roster looks here. Let's just give this a geese. So we've got pretty strong inside. A lot of flexibility. Firma, Carraz, Donny Tuase. Then, Campbell flexible as well. Scotty bench is light again, right? So that's my concern. But you've got those trades coming through, which do upgrade things somewhat. I'd be a bit nervous about because you are moving Jazz Tavanga and Hugo Savala on for Fletcher Hunt's not really a great scorer. And then you're bringing in one good scorer. So you're still relying on Taylan De Silva and Jed Stewart potentially as scorers, which is a very concerning situation to be in. It's a tough one. You can take the hit this week, or you can bring in someone like Galvin potentially, or target those sort of cheaper options there as well. One thing you could do with your trades here is instead of going Trell, you could go some more affordable options instead. I'm just trying to think of who the best ones would be. And you could still go Trell, or you could go, I don't know, like guys like Tino and Gus Crichton, like they're right there, but you need the wing fullback. You got Scott Drinkwater there as well. So you don't really need Latrell Mitchell. Personally, if I was you, I'd just be beefing up the depth there and bringing in some quality. And I'd just go, instead of Trell and Fletcher Hunt, I'd probably be going like Gus Crichton and Big Tino. You could afford that without using any money. So that's where I'd be going, Gus and Tino, or something similar to that. Beefing up, but it just gives you 2 keepers instead of 1. And this week, you really need the extra players. So that's how I'm looking at that one. Now, I'll touch on a few of the chats here. Let's see who's chatting. Got anyone thinking of Walsh for an option next week? Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Team failed to send. Oh, no. Oh, well, you're always here, so we'll make sure we get to your team. Good to see you, man. Then is having 3 cash downs, King Tonga, De Silva, and Hopway too many? It's a bit high, but I think De Silva in particular and King Tonga, they have good job security, so you should be okay. And then happy to take a hit this week as I will win. Yep, in that case, take a hit this week, play for next week. Absolutely agree. I do remember you did mention that too. And if I trade Karapani for Tino, someone like sends a shot, yeah, that can be a tricky one. It's just Karapani is not really a useful option down the stretch. Like he's sort of propped up his scores with a lot of tries. That's going to cool off, and Urus has started to cool off the last couple of weeks. So I personally would view him as someone to try and cash out. Should I hold Jaden Brayley? Absolutely. Starting this week, definitely hold Jaden Brayley. Is Aitken to Angus Crichton sideways? Nah, I think that's an upgrade. Aitken, though, maybe gets a centre dual position next week, so that's one thing to keep in mind. As long as he stays in the back row, that's the one big concern there. Is Tino a good buy, considering he only played 48 minutes last round? He was backing up from Origin. That was the key thing. So I think he's going to rise back up. No rush to buy him this week, but I'm probably going to buy him this week, potentially. Either him or Gus Crichton, I'm tossing. How will he get Haas? It would. So my assumption there is that there's going to be an injury to someone high value, because there has been every bloody week for a long time. Taylan May in the game and priced at 480k. At that price, I'm not really interested. He's not a top tier keeper. I'd rather go for, at that price, like Galvin or Walsh or one of these types of players around that 500k mark. Even Tanner Boyd. Need Haas next week? Yeah, that's a tough thing, man. Look, you can hold off for Haas as well. It's gonna be a hit this week though. But I do think Haas will be nuclear down the stretch. Does Docker Clay hurt Watson's minutes and average? Does it lower him below Gus and Tino? Watson's normally like that sort of 58 points in 75 minutes guy. So I think Docker Clay is okay being there. Gus is around that sort of high 50s, and so is Tino. I think they're all pretty identical. It just comes down to what positions you require in your team. And I think Gus Crichton's probably the safest in terms of minutes. Tino plays for a pretty dodgy Titans side, so he might get a rest at some point. And Watson, bit of job security issue in terms of the full 80 minutes, but I think he's a solid option as well. So I got Watson last week, and I'm getting either Tino or Crichton this week. I'm a fan of all three. Really, it's just, which one do you think is going to explode this week and next week and the week after? So Roosters v Dragons and Titans v Tigers. Panthers loss this week would be good for everyone. Yeah, mate. Panthers lost every week would be good for everyone. Then Dylan Lucas and Cook to Gus and Tino. Yeah. I think that's a good move. Gus and Tino, they're good buys, man, 100%. We got the money train coming through. And then what was for dinner? We had a Korean barbecue, actually. So we played a bit of golf in the afternoon. The Misso loves golf, which is a great con job for me. I've worked that one really well. So we went for some 3-par golf up in at Terry Hills. Great little 3-par golf called Shorties there. That's the range. And then, a bit of Korean barbecue. All right, let's keep ripping through some of these teams, guys. So what do we got? We got a few to get through. So it's still at 6 p.m. We got Ben, Saracap, 75k. Trades left 12, 10 after this week. 12 left, man. You're in a great position. Head-to-head. Want to do well overall, but head-to-head is the focus. With 12 trades left, you're in a good spot for head-to-head there. Players are open to selling. Savala, Lucas, King Tonga, and Duncan. You want to target Firma, Kraz, Campbell, Hines. Okay, let's see these. So tossing up between getting Hines instead of Campbell. I'd probably get Campbell just for the wing fullback eligibility, but Hines is, I like Hines. It's a tough one with Hines. It was one really good week. It's been a pretty dodgy couple of months, so also be worth trading Duncan to Fichetti this week. Or let him slide. Definitely let Fichetti go. Too expensive now. So Lucas and Savala out for Firma and Campbell. Yeah, these trades are good, man. Campbell makes a ton of sense. Both of them makes a ton of sense in terms of how it impacts your team. So you get Campbell in the half spot there. Back up half, you got Cleary there as well. Cool. You got Yo 2. You got Loophole with King Tongia and Fainu. Yeah, you're just fine. You're just fine here. Team looks good. Drinky and Noiti Tuase are a little fringe in terms of keepers, but I've got Drinky in my starting side as well at the moment. And, Duncan's a bit dicey as well. I'd be thinking about selling Duncan. You don't have to, but him at center, he scored 2 tries last time to save his score. He's going to be a bit of a dodgy option at center. My forecast for him would be about 25 this week. So if you can sell Duncan for, we can talk about Big Tino, Angus Crichton, like these types of players. That's probably where I'd be going. You could also sell Duncan for Hines if you want to get Hines, or have a toy around with those options there. So personally, I'd be selling Duncan to one of the guys we talked about in the buys list or the pods list as well. So yeah, I'd move Duncan on for you. Then Mac Boot. Hey guys, thinking about these trades at the moment. Could sell Purdue. Also, just might wait until Yo and Haas come back. Been super busy last couple of weeks. Come back to lose so many ranks. Yeah, mate. Look, life gets in the way. But the good news for you is you have a ton of trades in the bank. So, you should be okay. Lucas and Pappenhausen, Phil Mitchell, and Big Tino. These are good trades. It sucks to sell Lucas, but obviously you got to do it. 247K in the bank. I'd probably be tempted to spend that money as well. So if you've moved Lucas to Latrell, so Latrell's going to come in to wing fullback. Kraz will go to center. Or you got Bo there as well. But yeah, you're in a good spot there with your back line. Cleary's in that starting side. You got Big Tino coming in. Yeah, so Tino will be on the bench there too. So bench, you got Donahue can come into the half spot. Watson, Tarpane. Yeah, you got a deep roster here, man. Yeah, you're looking pretty good. I'm happy with those trades. You can move Purdue if you wanted to. Like you go we talk about Gus Crichton a lot, but you go Purdue to Gus Crichton. You could afford that trade. It's an option. You can save your money for Payne Haas as well. Like you've got a few options here, and really, they're all viable. It's just you're kind of trying to pick a guy for what are we round 20 now? So it's 8 weeks of form. Like you're just picking an 8 week of form, right? And 8 weeks can be very, very patchy. It can be above, below, that kind of thing. I think Payne Haas is going to be super hot down the stretch though. So because of the depth you have, I would say hold off and bring in Payne Haas next week is the play there. So yeah, good trades there, man. Mitch coming in. Good to see you, bud. What's that rank now? What's that rank? Rank 23. Man, doing good. You're doing good. You've sort of been floating around that area for a bit though. Like how do we get to that top 10 or top 1? Hey Longy, just want your thoughts. I could easily do 4 or even 3 trades, but I'm not sure if I should push again for that top 10. Also open. Yeah, look, it's a tough thing when you're at rank 23. I've been there a couple of times where, I've been in that sort of area, and sometimes you can either take the risk and really go for number 1 and really go out there, or you can sort of consolidate and try to play for a good rank. I remember one year I was just outside or just inside like the top 10, around that 10th marker with a couple of months to go. And I went nuclear, just super pods, all that sort of thing. Ended up ranked 70th that year. But, you're playing for number 1 at that point. So look, for you, you got 6 trades left. You're probably not going to push up too far with 6 trades left without making some big moves. That's the big thing here. So open to selling Cook, Duncan, whoever get me the GOAT squad. All right, let's see these trades. So right now you've got Lucas and Savala for Campbell and Crichton. Look, I'm cool with these trades. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Campbell's such good value. So is Crichton. You've got on your bench there, Crichton and Campbell come in. Jack Bird. Oh, what a liability he is. And then starting side, Duncan's a little bit of a problem there. I'd probably be moving Duncan on if I was you. Who do we bring in for Duncan? Got Donahue in there as well. You got Cleary already. You got Haas already. So you've got a lot of the big dogs already. I don't think you can really afford to play Duncan this week. I think the fact that you're bringing Gus Crichton in makes me lean towards saying go Duncan to Tino or, something in that sort of realm of trades. Got a bit of cash in the bank anyway, so you can move Duncan to practically anyone that you want to get. You go Duncan to, no, you couldn't quite. I was going to say you could almost go Duncan to Latrell. In fact, 62K. What's Duncan priced at right now? Is he 670? Or was he 660 or 630? I'm just trying to remember exact prices for Duncan. 676. Okay. So 676, you got 62K. You can go to 738. Yeah, man. If I'm you, what I'm doing is I'm going Duncan to Latrell Mitchell. I'm bringing Gus Crichton into the starting side. I know it's a lot of wing fullbacks. I just reckon for your side, ranked at 23, you sort of just go for that nuclear upside. And to be transparent, if I was you, I'm not recommending you do this because it's probably going to blow up in your face. I would very strongly consider like a pod captain, like a Latrell Mitchell or, a Herbie Farnworth or one of those sort of out of the box kind of guys. Latrell Mitchell this week against the Panthers, maybe it might blow up in your face, but that's the kind of move where if they go supernova and say Taylan May is really quiet this week, which he's sort of been on a bit of a downward trend, then you make up a bunch of points there. So I would consider that personally. So that's the third trade I'd add, Talis Duncan for Latrell Mitchell and potentially captain him. If you don't want to go too nuclear, I still would sell Talis Duncan. If you want a safer option, maybe Talis Duncan for Big Tino or one of those other options instead. But look, you're in a great spot. You're ranked 23 because you've been following your gut all year. So if you've got an instinct that says a certain thing about Talis Duncan or a certain trade, follow yours, man, because you've gotten yourself to that spot. Now, D. Lawrence, 95. Hey, mate, thoughts on these trades? Original plan was to bring in Yo instead of Latrell. Thinking of maybe Boyd. Instead of Boyd, I should cash out someone cheaper. I mean, Boyd's a solid keeper-ish guy for the end of the year, so I'm not against Boyd. 1 week to get Yo, not too sure. Trades are getting scarce. They absolutely are, my friend. So we got Fichetti in the starting side. A little bit of a weakness there, but that's okay. Campbell in the half spots, a bit of flexibility, bringing Campbell in. And then Latrell Mitchell, Turbo, wing fullback. Got Garrick on the bench with Trinky. All right, Cleary, Talakai, Duncan. I'm probably kind of keen to sell Duncan as well. I think Duncan's a pretty easy one to sell this week. So you're getting Yo next week. You probably want to get Yo for Duncan, don't you? I guess you can loophole this week. So if you can loophole Duncan and Talakai potentially, then or King Tongia, you should be okay. I'd be tempted to sell Duncan this week. I know Yo is a great option though. So Duncan to Yo next week makes a lot of sense. And Duncan shouldn't lose cash this week. So if you want to hold off, you can hold off. Just consider, sort of play around with potentially selling Duncan this week though, because you're going to have guys to sell next week too. Like you can sell Fichetti next week and some of the other guys as well. But you could potentially do Duncan. I mean, Duncan to, I don't know what we're doing. Yeah, being a bit light on trades. Because next week you've got, Fichetti might be getting close to sell. Talakai closer to sell. King Tongia, these types of guys. Yeah, I would toy with potentially selling Duncan. That'd be my advice here, just to strengthen up your bench there. And then Dano. Hi, Longy. My team, after potential trades, looking at these trades this week, go Drinky and Fichetti to Yo and Papali'i if everything goes to plan next week. Only trade for injuries. Okay. So Drinky, Fichetti, Yo and Papali'i. Yep. They're good trades for next week. Team looks pretty good. Yep. Strong across the board. That's a nice roster, actually. Garrick at the wing fullback spot's a little bit of a blemish. Then Crichton, Fichetti, Drinky, Turbo. Yes, a bit lighter on the bench. We got Cleary and Haas down the bottom, so that balances out. Savala, Lucas, Crichton, Trell. Yeah, man, these trades are fine. Bang, bang. Pull the trigger. Love those trades. Team looks good. Balance is nice. Crichton on the bench. You got depth across all positions. You're in a great spot here, man. Yeah, just run those last two trades next week and you'll be sweet. Aiden, hey, Longy, thanks. Thoughts on trades this week, and what percentage chance do you think Tommy Turbo will get dual position? I think Turbo should get dual position. They've said that he's going to be the center long term. If he plays this week at center and he's named again next week, I'd call it like a 75% chance. I think it's a good chance. But look, Purdue didn't get it in that scenario, but I think Turbo's going to get it. Like he's playing center. He's very solid there. I'll be recommending. I'll chat to them and recommend it. But look, no guarantees though. So I wouldn't plan based on Turbo getting dual, but if you're going to use him as depth, he's not a bad depth piece and probably should get the center spot there. So for your side, yeah, Savala and Lucas for Trell and Crichton. Those are good trades. I would take it easy with your trades just because you've got Cody Black already on the bench there, who's already a bit of a dead spot for your team. So you can't afford to have too many more sort of players missing games because that really reduces your depth a bit. So for your side, I mean, Duncan and Fichetti are going to be guys that you're selling in the upcoming weeks. You could potentially sell Duncan this week, depending on how players score. you can move Duncan to basically anyone. But these trades are good. I mean, so much cash in the bank, though. A lot of cash in the bank. See, that makes me think that maybe... Okay, yeah, so you don't have Cleary or Yo. So next week, I guess you can use that cash to go straight to Cleary and Yo from maybe Duncan and Fiketti, maybe a downgrade, something like that. But yeah, you're in a great spot here. I reckon those two trades are good. Bench looks good. You could sell Duncan this week, but I get what you're doing. You're building up for next week. So probably the play is just to wait for next week and make those trades to Cleary and Yo. Now, Asate, before we get into Asate's essay, let's jump into the chat here a bit and see who's about. So what do we got? We got questions about Taylan May. What do we think of Taylan May? Well, let me show you what I think of Taylan May. Oh, I said that really ominously. Look, footystatistics.com is where I'm going with this one. So for Taylan May, 480K in the game now. His average at center, playing at the Panthers, was a 36.6. The scoring profile was really mixed for Taylan May. So look, you've got one try in 8 games. So one try in 8 games, 3 line breaks, one try assist, like very, very low attacking stats here for him. Defensively, a reasonably solid work rate. 3.5 tackle breaks a game, 16 tackles. Offload's not super high here. 115 meters a game, a bit low. When he started out, though, those first 2 games was 157, 147 meters. And I remember thinking at the time, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Like if he can run out that base, then I'm not fussed at all. And that first game he got a 66, but after that it was pretty terrible. On the wing, he was fantastic though. So on the wing, the average is a 43.6. Especially that first year. So I guess it's all 2022. When he first burst on, it was 3 tries to 1, 1, 1, 0, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. Like he scored a bunch of tries at the start and was pumping out big meters. But again, it sort of cooled off there. So I'm not keen at all, basically, is my answer there. But just to show you the stats there, even the upper ceiling, unless he shows he's a different guy, I'm going to need to see it. And like playing on the Tigers as well, there's not a lot of free attacking stats on offer. We've seen Skelton really struggle there, and Stafford Toa was really good for a while. I will shout him out, but a lot of the guys in the back line, even Taruva sort of struggled there too. So ripping into Asate, trades left 9 before trades, 6 after trades, head-to-head or overall. So your overall, open to selling a few guys here. I want to target Yo, Haas, and Hines. Okay. Positions needed for around 20. You're all good. Looping out of Drinky, Tomoko, and Duncan. Haas is a red-hot option. Yeah, I think Haas is a must-have for the run home for most teams, unless you are really in trouble and you just can't make it work. So Lucas, Savala, Cook. Yeah, these are good trades. Preston, Tino, Latrell. These trades make sense. In terms of how we run the loophole here, so Tommy Turbo on the starting side. You got Lawson on the bench there. Okay. Loophole is going to have to be using Cleary and Lawson. In terms of how I do it, let's just see. I'd probably be selling. Let's have a look. Looping. So have a look at the order of games. So Drinkwater plays the first game of the round. So obviously he's that first looper. You got the Rabbitohs with Duncan and Tomoko. The Raiders play Saturday at 3 p.m. Rabbits play on Friday. So your loops are looking like they're going to be, Drink, Tomoko, Duncan. You got Hughes and Campbell on that starting side. Half spot. See, there's another loop that we can potentially execute here. You can no, it wouldn't really work too well because you could run a crazy loop, right? So the Dogs play late in the round, so you could put Tomoko at the bottom of your bench, right? And then if Tomoko goes really well on Friday or Saturday, Tomoko goes well on Saturday at 3 p.m. When do the Dogs play though? Dogs play 5:30. But if he goes well, then you can move Lawson into that starting center spot and Karaz into wing fullback, and then you can loop Tomoko into the starting center spot as well. So that's actually one option for you there. But overall, the simple loop I would say is I would run Drinkwater and Tomoko. That's probably what I'd do. It's a pretty straightforward loop. You could potentially Panthers play pretty early, but that's okay. You could potentially use Cleary in this loophole as well and throw. Who else would we throw in the loop though? No one really. Yeah, look, just run the simple loop. I'd say Drinkwater and Tomoko. If you do want to run the center loop as well, just shoot me a message in level 1 and I can explain it in a bit more detail. But you could run a positional loop there for Tomoko as well, and then run the simple loop with Drinkwater and Duncan even. Now, Crooks. Hey, mate. How's it going? Good to see you, bro. So 150K in the bank after using 4 trades of your 12. Overall focus. A lot of guys to sell, targeting Gus, Crichton, Big Tino, so Big Trell, and Bo Firma, as well as some cash outs, Big Tino and Yo. Looking grabbing Firma. All right, let's see. So Jazz Tavanga, Hugo Savala, Dylan Lucas, Damien Cook for Firma, Crichton, Latrell, and De Silva. Hey, these are trademark good trades here. Bringing in 3 guns and 1 cheapie for a bunch of guys that you don't need anymore. I like it already. Now let's see the team. So this is the team after trades: Hosking, Firma, Garrick, and then a De Silva, Finer, Loophole. You got some cash outs that you need to play around with, so that's okay. Just in terms of the big players here, you got Payne Haas, you got Nathan Cleary, you got Taylan May, Dano by Isaiah Yo. You got space for Yo next week, though, if you want to move like Zach Hosking or Garrick or one of those guys to him. I would ponder if I guess you're already using all 4 trades. Yeah, so there's nothing else you can really do here. Look, those trades are great. If you could use 5 trades, there's a couple of other trades I'd suggest, but those 4 trades are fantastic, mate. Like, there's not much I can recommend above what you got there. Then Phil Eel, good to see you, my fellow Parramatta fan and Eels member. I think I'll only be doing the 2 trades this week. Your thoughts on my team, trades and the loop? So Grant, May, Tarpanay, this is a good-looking side. The Hughes-Hines combo has been electric the last 1 week. Kraz and Herbie, exciting as well. Yeah, Trell comes in. This is a good-looking side with Jaden Campbell on the bench, Aaron Clark. Mate, this is a deep roster. Like, starting side is all quality. Maybe Drinky is a little bit sus, but it's all quality. You got Campbell there, Clark, Katoa, Haas on the bench. Then Nani Tuase and Garrick. Like, you're in a great position financially. Even Latu Finer could yield some cash for you in a bit. So, mate, you're in an awesome spot. In terms of trades, Duncan, Lucas for Trell and Preston, you have 263K in the bank. It's actually crazy how much money you have. Your team's in a good spot, dude. I remember you're in a pretty good ranking as well. I think it was, what were you, like 170th or something like that? So you're in a great spot. Yeah, 172. There we go. Yeah, I remember that. I guess I'm thinking about whether there's a third trade we can make. Like, do we want to use that 260K? Noani Tuase and Garrick is a nice loophole pair. Noah plays super early, 6 p.m. on Friday, so great looper. If Noani Tuase scores terribly, I would consider selling Garrick, right? So if Noah scores badly and you're going to take Garrick's score, I don't really trust Garrick against the Storm. Like, you could grab a couple of tries, but I'm a bit sus about it in Melbourne. So personally, if I was you, I'd be looking at going maybe Garrick to someone different. You got all that cash in the bank. I guess the downer for you is you don't have Cleary or Yo yet, so you sort of need that cash for those guys. Yeah, you sort of need to save the cash for Cleary and Yo because then you're moving Garrick next week. So in that case, I'm probably going to say maybe sit tight. Yeah, because you want to bring those guys in next week, and you don't have too many other faults. Like we could potentially go and bring in, Tino instead of Yo or something like that, but I think it helps you this week. I don't think it helps you long term. So just something to consider there. If Noani Tuase does go poorly, you could maybe move Garrick on for someone a bit more affordable, like a Gus Crichton or a Big Tino or one of those guys. But it might hurt your chances to get Cleary and Yo next week. Now, Rob, hey Longy, team screenshot before doing any trades, 35K in the bank, attached to 2 sets proposed. I always love this, the 2 options, trades. So we got the 4 trader, Lucas, Couchman, Pappenhausen, Savala out. We have Firma, Boyd, Meany, and Brayley coming in. Yeah, it's okay. It's entrepreneurial. It's creative, these trades. Meany, Boyd, even Brayley. Like, I'm just a little about getting too many of those guys, or a simple double, Lucas, Couchman for Firma and Silva with a lot of cash in the bank. I think that's probably a middle ground here. So Lucas and Couchman out makes sense. I would sell Hugo Savala as well. Maybe consider keeping Pappenhausen. If you sold Savala on top of this trade set, you could afford basically anyone you wanted here. Your team looks good. Forward pack strong. Latu Finu starting is not good news for your halves. Obviously, Lucas is going to be covered out as well because we're talking about both Firma coming in for Lucas. So that's all good. Backline's okay. Colquhoun, Duncan, yeah. I think you need to make the moves. I'm struggling here. I probably in this set of trades here, what do you need Brayley for? So you got Connor Watson there. Okay, got the hooker spot covered already. So Lucas, let's work with this 4 trades here. So Lucas to Bo Firma makes a lot of sense. Pull the trigger on that. Couchman to Boyd, I'm okay with it. Without loving it, I'm okay with it. That covers the half spot here. So you got a hole in the halves. You don't want to start Latu Finu. So Boyd coming in is good news for you. Then Pappenhausen and Mini, I think scrap that trade completely. We got Savala. I would scrap the Savala to Brayley as well. I'd go Savala to Tino, Gus Crichton, even Galvin, like one of these types of players instead. I think Brayley's a bit expensive for what you're getting there. And that leaves you a bit of cash in the bank where you can make a big move, or you could save money for Cleary next week. Now, with that spare trade, instead of selling Pappenhausen, I'd be more keen to sell like a King Tongia or a Colquhoun or someone like that. One of them maybe for Galvin, or you could move Duncan for Gus Crichton or Tino or one of these types of players. So that's the pivot I'd make. Just replace Meany, Brayley, and Pappenhausen in this trade with some of those other guys that we've talked about here. Tino, Crichton, like these types of players, or some top tier talent instead. So that's the pivot I'd make for you, Rob. But shoot me a message, level 1 channel if you're not sure or anything like that. We can chat about more. All right, Ezra's Ranger. And before we get to Ezra's Ranger, I'll not neglect the chat too much. So we got Duncan or Koloamatangi. Definitely play Koloamatangi, even if Duncan's on the edge. Koloamatangi's got that pedigree, even though the recent form's not been good. So they're having 2 trades for injury and emergency cover enough. It is nowhere near enough, but a lot of people are going to be in that position. So you can make it work. Gus or Tino. That's a tough one. I'm actually tossing up the exact same question. I'm softly starting to lean towards Gus the more I think about it. And the rationale here is that the Roosters are fighting for that top 8 spot, top 4 spot potentially. You got Sam Walker and Chad Townsend in the halves this week. I think Gus gets a lot of early ball. Sandon Smith, as much as I love him as a player, isn't great for his outside back rower. He's more of a ball runner. So my view is Gus Crichton's set for a big run here. And Big Tino, he's looked fantastic, but he has dealt with a bit of injury. He's their long-term guy. The Titans are sort of falling off a bit right now. Maybe he gets a rest down the stretch. I'm a bit worried about teams that are completely out of it. So I'm leaning towards Gus, just using that as a tiebreaker. I still like Tino quite a bit. I may end up with Tino. The Tigers matchup for Tino as well is absolutely fantastic. So toss it up, make your call. If you think the Titans can be kind of decent down the stretch, then go for Tino. But I'm probably leaning towards Gus. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Then don't get Fichetti. Horses bolted. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right, guys. Fichetti, it's too late. He's made 100K in the last 2 weeks, Fichetti. So definitely too late. Taylan May, is he worth picking up at 480K? Only in draft leagues, not for a classic team. His best average at wing was a 43.6. His average at center was like a 36. So he's not a top tier keeper, and he's pretty expensive. They should have made him like 350K. Have a bit of fun with it. But hey, who should I get? Gus, Crichton, or Tino? That's the question. I'm probably going Gus, but I'm really thinking about that one. I'll say for sure, by the way, we do our show on Thursday. That's the live, game day show where we do that at 6:30 till 7:30. That's when I usually do my reveal of my trades. So usually on Thursday, I figure out what I'm going to do. I'm sort of leaning towards Gus Crichton right now, but it could change at the last second. Finifuyaki to Fichetti. No, not Fichetti. Go either cheap or go for a gun. Duncan for Teddy or Trell. I'm leaning towards It's tough. So Trell is the better scorer for sure, but not by heaps, by maybe 4 points. Teddy is usually a bit more durable, stays on the field a bit better, doesn't get suspended as much, doesn't have a bye in round 26. So I'm going to say Teddy. I just think in round 26, you'll feel the difference. Latrell will outscore Teddy this week, is my view, and probably next week. But I think Teddy will score more over the run home and be more useful, especially in the late rounds. Is Garrick a hold or sell? Yeah, look, Garrick's been scoring a lot of tries lately. I think that dries up. So I sold Garrick last week. I think he's a pretty easy sell. Then Garrick, yeah. Garrick, look, he's been good through the Origin period, but playing on the wing is very try dependent, and the next 4 games for Manly are pretty brutal. Then what else we got? We got a lot of people asking about buying for Keddy, or maybe it's the same guy over and over again. Yeah, cool. Any Holmes or Gagai? These are some big pods here. I'd say Gagai at fullback is a lot of fun. So if you want to take a super pod, that's not a bad shout. Lockie James, the number 1 Titans hater, is getting Jaden Campbell. And man, you really do hate the Titans, don't you? I know Campbell is cheap, but do you think someone like Preston or Young is better for draw? I mean, they're very different positions, right? So I think Campbell's one of the best buys of the week right now, but Preston is good. Young is expensive. With Young, you're kind of backing him to score a try a week, basically. So if you think Canberra do that and he does that, and he doesn't get a rest on the run home, which I'm worried about as well. I personally would say the odds are against Hudson Young for returning any value. And I think you got to go. I think maybe Crichton is who you were thinking about there. I'd probably prefer Crichton. Got Campbell already, right? Tina and Bert. Yeah, look, you got a lot of Titans there, man. But should be okay. Has the SBW fight started? Yeah, someone update me if it has started and if Gallen's getting pounded yet. Changed my trades 42 times this stream. Yeah, man. This is the problem with these live shows. Like, actually, even buy, hold, sell. Like Biz and I go through it, and we just are changing our minds as we talk about these things. It's you're getting sort of a live thought process. Like I kind of use this show to think about my own trades as well. Then Galvin or Boyd, shout me out, Longy. Oh, and Fatty, here's a shout out for you, mate. I'd say I'm leaning towards Galvin. They're both guys who have averaged in the high 40s in the past. Tanner Boyd is a much safer scorer. Galvin has bigger attacking upside. I think Galvin is more likely to have a few of those nuclear scores, but Tanner Boyd's a great option as well. So I'd probably just go for the cheaper one. Is Yo a must next week? I think he's a great option next week. Not a must, but a very good option. Then Tino or Firma. Yeah, look, it depends on positions you require. I think they're similar scorers. I think Tino is a slightly better scorer. Now, let's rip through a few more teams here. I'm going to go pretty quick and just sort of smash through. So 8 trades, overall focus. And for Ezra's Ranger, Reggie Rabbit, we got Savala, Hubner, Lucas for Papali'i, Katoa, not bad. Or same guys out for Papali'i, Trell, Katoa. I like that a lot. Or Lucas Savala for Katoa and Burton. I guess it's the Hubner to Papali'i component of this trade. You get to Isaiah Katoa. I'm probably leaning more towards tricky one. Do you need the half cover spot covered? So you got Campbell, Katoa, Cleary, of course, Finer. Yeah, so you sort of need the half spot covered. So you have to get a half this week. I'm kind of leaning towards the Burton and Katoa trade, actually. I like Trell and Katoa though. I might vote for this one here. I think Trell and Katoa is just a super, super high upside combination to bring into your team. So I'm going to say Trell and Katoa, but if you do at the last minute want to save trades, then Katoa and Burton's not a bad shout either. All right, let's keep ripping through. Let's make sure I try and get to all the 6 p.m. guys. So Payne asked, long your thoughts on these trades? Any good? Would you recommend? We got Lucas Finer, Tarp. I'm not a fan of selling Tarpane, especially with so low trades. So scrap that. Drinkwater also, I feel the same way about him. So you've got, pretty light roster here too. Like you've got Lawson already, bringing Joash, Hope. Like you got a lot of duds in there. I think for you just need to keep your green dots, man. So I would scrap the Tarpane and Drinkwater components of this trade. That's going to set you. Actually, it's going to free up a bit of cash. And then I would just go Lucas and probably Fino. I'd go Lucas and Fino out for You got Campbell there. So you don't really need Teddy necessarily. You could get Teddy. What if you went, I think you need to go lower on trades and just buy some depth. So what if you went Lucas and Finu out for, in the half spot, maybe someone like Galvin or Tanner Boyd or one of these guys, and then you buy someone else in the forward pack here. So Katoa's playing on the edge, but you don't need him on the edge necessarily. You got Pierce Ball there. So you bring in, Tanner Boyd or Galvin, one of those guys, and then one of Tino or Gus Crichton. So if I was you, I'd probably go Gus Crichton and Galvin for Lucas and Finu. Something in that kind of area. Only use 2 trades. You can play around with different options here. If you want to go Tino or whatever it is, just have a look at that. Or if you want to go Teddy, you make your own call there. But just do the Lucas and Finu out. Keep Tarpane and keep Drinkwater. They're close enough to being keepers, and you're too low on trades. 4 trades left for your team. When you factor in that Hope, Lawson, and Papali are all kind of useless to you. So you really only have space for 1 red dot every week, and you have a lot of buys coming up. South Sydney have a buy in round 26, so Latrell and Kolomatangi be out that week, for example. So you'll have Hope in your 17 that week, as it stands, with no injuries already. So just use 2 trades. Focus on depth for your team, man. I think you need to play a bit more conservative on that front. Then baked beans. These are the trades I've been thinking about. Giving up on the idea of owning Herbie. I actually don't mind that strategy, by the way. He's nearly 900k. If you don't have Herbie Farmware, it's probably a bit late. So you got Savala, Lucas, 4 Crichton, Mitchell. Man, these are scorches. Let's just make sure the team looks good. Yeah, Duncan, Garrick, and Duncan. I'm sort of keen to sell Duncan already, but you've got moves to make next week. So you got Cleary, but you don't have Isaiah. You don't have Payne Haas. So you're probably going to be using Duncan to get to those guys. So, yep, mate, banger trades. Sell Duncan next week, though. Make sure you do that. Then Co. Hey, mate, don't really know what to do with my trades this week. Very confused. Okay, sorry, Cap, 165k. Mate, you've got 8 trades left. You just got given 8 trades, and you want to spend 4. So we're already there. Okay, let's see. Couchman, Cook, King Tonga, and Lucas are all pretty reasonable sells, though. Tino, De Silva, Preston, Campbell. Okay, these are good trades. I was ready to roast you a bit, if I'm being honest, but you've actually pulled off some pretty nice trades here. These look good. I would maybe consider keeping Cook and selling, Radley, potentially, just because Radley's a bit more likely to be useless to you down the stretch, whereas at least Cook is playing a relatively consistent role. And for a team, you're quite low on trades. For you, it's probably good to have that depth. So I would sell Radley instead of Cook. That's the one swap I would make. You got the money for it. And you can sell Cook next week anyway if you want to make that move. So just make that swap. Otherwise, you're in a good spot there, Co. And then we got CFA. Let me just see how many. Do we have many more at 6 p.m.? Oh, we got a few. All right. I'm just going to go a bit over time today. Hopefully, you guys are cool with that. Oh, man. I gave you guys too much warning. So, all right, we got about 8 to go. So I'll smash all the 6 p.m. ones, guys. And then if there's anyone else who really wants to be covered today, let me know. So CFA, Kia ora, good to see you, bro. Cash is at 44k, 8 trades left. Okay, so we don't want to burn 4. So you got double trade here, or triple. You got Lucas and Savala and Tavanga out for Galvin, Kraz, Latrell, mate. That's delightful. That's a very good 3 trades there. Or you go Lucas, Savala, so you're keeping Tavanga. I'd move Tavanga on as well, man. He's dropping cash for Firmo Crichton. Or Savala, Lucas, Finu, Tavanga for bringing Hines in. I think the triple, man. The triple makes sense. You need to sell Tavanga. I think Galvin's a good little depth piece for you. You're going to be a bit low on trades. You have 5 trades left, but not the worst position in the world. You have some loopholeable guys. Salatu, Finu, Tommy Turbo, so that's going to be okay. Payne Haas is very flexible this week. You got Haas in your team. You're at Cleary as well. You don't have Yo, but you kind of have everyone. So, mate, I think the triple trade, bringing in Galvin, Kraz, and Latrell Mitchell. A lot of upside in that trade, a lot of attacking capability. NRL Noah's thoughts on trades. Should I use 4 or who else should I get? And the loop, or should I trade Cook and loop Drink Tom? Let's see. So Lucas, Savala, Bird, Brimson out. Yeah, all good sells. Out for Firma, Campbell, Crichton, and De Silva. Again, look great. 3 guns, 1 cheapie. That's the configuration I really enjoy for fantasy trades at this point of the year. So for you, cracked back into the top 1,000. Good to see, mate. For Ketty in there. You hate Parramatta, though, so I do hold that against you. But we got Drinkwater, Crichton, Watson, and Cook and Turbo and Loop. Yeah, mate. Cook's good enough to be that loophole guy right now. I'm okay with that. Very okay with that. So for your side, yeah, starting team looks good. Firmer and Campbell add a bit of depth. You got Drinkwater there. You have the flexibility with Carraz to move into center if you require that. You have Campbell, you can move to half. Mate, this is a good side. These are good trades. You're in a good looking spot, mate. Like with that team, very strong looking side. Fiketti is going to be a problem at some point relatively soon. Yeah, he'll be a sell soon, but you've got the depth there to consolidate and you'll be absolutely sweet. I would say, if I'm going to guess, one of your future trades is going to be Fiketti and Garrick out for maybe Cleary or Yo and then a cheapie, like something like that, maybe next week or the week after. Cade, how you doing, mate? Hope you're doing good. Don't know what trades I should do. Also started round 3 and head-to-head coach coming second. Man, that's all good. Yeah, I know your team, you started a bit late, so that's fine. It just means you have a bit more space for creativity. So for you, Cade, actually your ranks jumped up quite a bit recently too. For you, I'd say forward pack looks great. Centers, halves look good. Wing fullback is strong. Tommy Turbo, Drinkwater, a little bit of a weakness at the end, but I have a similar configuration. Watson, De Silva. Yeah, this is the problem when you sort of start a bit behind. Bit of cash loss at the bottom. So Lawson, Paddy, Gray, Finer, De Silva. Like that's 5 guys that are all a little bit of a liability down the stretch. Lucas to Mitchell is a good trade, and I'm all for that trade more broadly. I think for your team though, 10 trades left. You've got quite a few trades. I'd be leaning more towards trying to get a bit of depth into the team. So Lucas to Mitchell is fine. But what you could do, hypothetically, is you start Scott Drinkwater and you do something like Lucas and Lawson out for Galvin and Tanner Boyd, or you know what I mean? Like something in that kind of realm of trades. I'd probably be leaning in that direction, Galvin and Tanner Boyd in for Lucas and Lawson or something like that, just to strengthen up your depth, because right now you have too many problems at the bottom of your bench. And it means every week when there's a bye, you're going to be absolutely screwed over. Like next week, the Dolphins have a bye, I believe it is. So it's Katoa and Herbie are out, right? So, you know what I mean? You sort of need to have a bit more depth there. That's what I'd be trying to build up if I was the coach of this side. So that's my view. Go pretty straightforward. Lucas and Lawson out for Tanner Boyd and Lockie Galvin. You could look at potentially adding Josh Papali'i next week if he looks really good. Maybe Alatu Finu to Josh Papali'i if he looks like he's going to hold the spot. Just again for a bit more depth there, because you want to add to a bit of that depth there and be in a stronger position for the finals, just in case there are injuries and when there are obviously going to be buys as well. Now, Waggy-san, before proposed trades, 8 trades left. Focuses overall. Plays open to selling. Yep, cool. Extra notes. Bit of a sticky spot here. Looking at bringing in Talon, Tino, Galvin this week. Young Cleary next week. Issues I'm leaving myself with Galvin as a starting half. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. JC is good cover there too. So I think you're okay in that position. Let's see. So Moorbank and Shipping Norton expert Michael Demon. That's a great ad. He's right up there. You got Savala, Lucas, and Purdue for De Silva, Galvin, Big Tino. Galvin comes in. Fiketti, Turbo, Drinky. Okay. Tino can come up as well, so you're in a good spot there. Team looks good. Latu Finer is obviously not starter worthy, so you're going to move Galvin into that spot, which means you're going to have Tino, Fiketti, Turbo, Drink, Duncan. Okay, yeah. No, I think these are good trades. It leaves you in a good spot. Depth is good. Savala, Lucas, Purdue are all good sells. I'd pull the trigger on this. You got to save that cash, $400K next week. Only use 2 trades if you can. Like try to keep it really light next week so you can save a few trades for the run home. Then Hurring, hey mate, looking for some advice on trades this week. This is what I'm thinking so far. I only have 1K. Let's see the trades. So we got Savala, Lucas, Purdue, for De Silva, Crichton, Mitchell. Mate, these trades are absolutely fine. They're good ones there. And we'll just have a quick look at the team in a sec. So bench is beefed up there. Cleary and Haas, a bit of a challenge there for your team this week, but you should be in an okay spot. Yeah, this is a solid looking side. So I would pull the trigger on these trades. These are absolutely fine. Crichton, Trell, are great targets here. De Silva's a cheapie, mate. Go ahead, fire away at those. The upgrades for next week are going to be interesting. You've got quite a few trades, so 9 trades left. I would say keep being a bit conservative with your trades and sort of hope that towards the end there are some injuries and people sort of fall off. I think you could see a big rise in the last couple of rounds in particular with the trades you have left, especially at that sort of 3,000 rank. Like you could end up in the top 1,000 this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because you got so many trades there in a pretty good looking roster. Now, Jefe Sol Huso, let's see. So 10 trades left. You're in a good spot. I'm so jealous you guys have 10 trades left or 12 trades left. I've got my little 8 trades left. I'm only using 2 this week, so it should be okay. How's the side looking? 25,000 rank. We got Trollman as captain. We need to move on. Couchman, King Tonga maybe, Jenkins maybe. Let's find out Savala. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts? No. All right. Open. All right. Blank canvas for me. Okay. We're going to sell. We'll sell Lucas, Savala, and Lucas, Savala, Sand, Smith, Couchman. Probably those 3, right? So Lucas, Savala, Sand, Smith, and Couchman are out. Lucas, Savala, Sand, Smith, Couchman. In terms of who you bring in, probably going to go the 3 guns and a cheapie strategy. I think that's an easy run to play. I would be saying for you, maybe like Tino and Crichton, potentially to beef up your forward pack there. And then from there, possibly you got Cleary there for next week. I would consider bringing in a half. I guess you got Jaden Campbell as well, so you don't necessarily need to. You could bring in Galvin if you wanted to. You could target that option. If you have a lot of money, I'm not sure about the exact cash, but you could go for Bo Firma or someone like that as well, but I don't think you necessarily need to. So definitely Tino and Crichton, maybe Galvin, and then like a Tamari Martin or something like that. Have a play around though. But I'm thinking Tino and Crichton as your big guns there. Bring Galvin in and then bring in Talon De Silva. Talon De Silva is the cheapie. That should leave you in a pretty good position for cash for next week. And then you don't have Payne Haas. So we're probably going to try and find a way to get you Payne Haas next week. Only Ducky. Let's see this team. So how many more we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 6 teams left, guys. 6 teams left. I'll try and roll through these. So only Ducky before trades 152k, after trades 106. 5 trades left after this. Overall focus. Got a bunch of guys to sell you targeting Latrell, Firma, Big Tino, Gus. Yeah, look, we like the same guys, man. Haley, not sure who to get out of Firma, Tino, and Gus. What do you think? So we got Trell and Firma. Papali'i for Cook, Mason, and Lucas. Looks good. I guess my question would be, so Firma versus Gus versus Tino and all that. My question is, do you need the center depth? So you got a great starting team. You don't need Bo Firma as a starting center, but you don't have any backups at center. So that puts you in a bit of a tricky situation. And round 21, the Dolphins have a bye. So in round 21, when you don't have Herbie Farmworth or Katoa, if you don't have any backups at center, you'll need to buy a center. So you're buying Bo Firma this week or next week, basically. Or, if people have Tommy Turbo, he might get the center duel. But yeah, for you, I would say go Bo Firma because you're going to need Bo Firma next week. It's as simple as that, right? So you just need the center depth there. It allows you to move Kraz back to the wing fullback as well. But yeah, simple as that. Dolphins by next week. That's the play. And Hefe, we've done your team as well. Sam, let's see. What do you got? You got Lucas, Savala, Lawson for Crichton, Tino, Silver, mate. Great trades. I like those trades. Let's make sure the team looks good. Tino comes in. Crichton comes in. Backline looks solid. Hughes, Horsburgh on the bench there. Then Nointuase and like a Turbo De Silva loop. I think that's fine for this week, mate. Those are good trades. Smash those trades, Sam. You're in a great spot, mate. And then Ryan, hope you're doing well, my man. Here's me for this week. Love your work, Ledge. Cheers, mate. So salary cap left 200k with 8 trades left. Overall focus. Let's see those trades. We've got Cook and Lucas out for Watson and Mitchell, mate. Banging trades. Or Cook and Lucas out for Grant and Mitchell. Okay, so the question you're asking is Connor Watson versus Harry Grant. Harry Grant is the primo pedigree guy of the past. He has averaged 65 before a number of times and sort of that low 60s a number of times. So Harry Grant's the premium guy from the past, but Connor Watson has shown it this year. So historically, Grant's better. This year, Watson's better. Do you want to bet on Grant or do you want to bet on Watson? It's kind of a call you've got to make. That's the challenge there. I'm personally on Connor Watson myself, but the price gap has grown this week. So Harry Grant does represent value. It's kind of your call, man. Like they're both interesting options. You're betting on some attacking stats. I would say Connor Watson is safer for playing, every game for the run home. I think Harry Grant's more of a chance of getting a rest. So personally, I'd go Connor Watson, but it really is up in the air. If you've got a feel in a different direction, jump on that, man. Then Fantasy Triple H, great rank for this dirty Queenslander. A bit stuck on if I should save trades this week or run the 17 I have towards the trade. And by the way, he's mentioned Turtle here too. So Turtle will be back, I believe, tomorrow for our live show. So Turtle, I've volunteered you now if you are watching. You're on the show tomorrow. So we got Lucas, Savala, and Cook out for De Silva, Mitchell, Katoa. Good trades there. We can go for Campbell, Katoa, De Silva. So same sells. So it's Campbell and Katoa. So Campbell versus Latrell. Or just cut out the extra trade and keep Cook and Savala. Okay. You got a lot of trades. Man. You're in a great rank. I'd be trying to be aggressive, I think. Duncan's not good enough to be a scorer. I like this pair of trades here. So Lucas and Duncan for Campbell and Katoa. You can run those two trades. I'd probably find a move to make with Savala as well. Because if you run these two trades, the Lucas and Duncan to Campbell and Katoa, that beefs you up quite a bit. So that strengthens you up. And you then have Savala that we can sell. And I'd probably sell Savala for, because you need to strengthen up that 17, to be honest. So I'd be selling Savala for either Gus Crichton or Big Tino. Or if you want a super pod, you go Lockie Galvin. But I think Gus Crichton or Tino. I'd probably go in Gus Crichton. So I would go the third trade, and I would add Savala for Gus Crichton. It's basically a straight swap. You're very lucky that it's so cheap. So that's what I'd be doing. General Giant PK, 8 trades left. Overall focus. Let's see these trades. We've got a few options here. Lucas for Tino. I like it. Lucas, Savala for Tino and Firma. I like it even more. Well, Lucas, Savala, and Garrick for Tino, Galvin, and Firma. So the Garrick to Galvin component of this trade is up in the air. I'm not against that at all. I mean, you got a few red dots here, or duds like Munro, Paddy, Lawson. You do have Payne Haas on a buy as well. Towns Silva is quite cheap. I think depth is going to be important for your team. I'm just looking at this team. You need the depth. So I'm going to say, run the triple. I like the triple here. Jump on Galvin. You could wait a week. You could keep Garrick for this week and wait till next week if you want to be a bit more conservative. That one's sort of up in the air. The safe move would be waiting till next week, but I think Galvin will outscore Garrick this week, so I don't mind that move at all. And then that's us done and dusted. That's the 6 p.m. teams there. So look, thanks for guys for sending those through. I'll just quickly touch on a few questions in the chat as well. A few of you guys are asking about the link. So if you just sign up, the place to go is wap.com/the casual athlete. Just drop that in there. So that's the link there to jump in. The Discord link is in the description of every YouTube video we post. So if you jump on the channel, just jump on the buy, hold, sell video. If you see in the description of that video, there's going to be a bunch of links. The Discord link is there too. So you can jump in. It's about 3,000 people in there. Only about, I think it's about 250 of us that are in the private group as well. What time do you normally do your written reviews? Usually in the evening. So I have a bit of recording I do with Bergs after this. So we'll jump on in about 5 minutes. We'll do a bit of recording. And then at 8 p.m., we have a private call. So you'll see on the side there, the level 2, level 3, mid-ranges and guns society. We jump in the fantasy lounge from about 8 p.m. until about 9:15. And then usually about after that, that's when I jump on, do those written reviews. So I would say expect them around 11-ish is sort of when that comes through. I'll tag you in the Rate My Team channel as well. So yeah, cheers, guys. Preach. Quick question here. Actually, give us a vote, guys. Who's your number one buy for this week? Before we do finish up, who's your number one buy? Like, who's the player you are most keen to buy this week? For me, and Stratton King's just asking that too. But yeah, send me through who's your number one buy is. Stratton King's, the private group is just this link here, wap.com/the casual athlete. I've flashed it up. It's over there. I'll move myself over to it. It's over here with me. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's over here with me, just there. There we go. That's some high level production for you guys. But yeah, we got, let's see, top buys here. We got Firma, Watson, and Galvin. We got not great spelling tonight. Watson as well, Trelmit and Galvin, Gus and both Firma. Yeah, look, a lot of love for those players. I'm a big fan of those guys too. Trelmit, the upside is massive on Trell Mitchell, guys. So I don't mind him as a shout either at all. Anyway, cheers, legends, for jumping on. Always a good time. Let me know too, because obviously we're getting towards the end of the year. So, in the next few weeks, people will start to run out of trades. Things will get a bit quiet in here. So let me know what you guys are doing in the off season. If you're sort of switching off for the year, if you're finishing up for the year in the next couple of weeks, just drop me a message or a message in the live or whatever and say, hey, I'm finishing up for the year. I'm off to focus on cricket, or I'm really into lawn care, or whatever it is there. So I'll see you guys there. Anyway, cheers, guys. Appreciate you. Catch you on the next one. See you, everyone. And smash those trades. Just realized I left the studio and didn't